Welcome to the Halley Elise Show, featuring your host, empowerment psychic Halley Elise. She is an author, psychic, and media personality, and has been listed as one of the top 100 psychics in America. Empowerment psychic Halley Elise shares the spiritual, metaphysical, holistic, and magical powers of the universe. Follow Halley on her website at HalleyElise.com, and all her shows can be seen via live stream video. Now, here's your host, empowerment psychic Halley Elise.
Good evening, everyone. I'm glad you can join us this evening. As always, when I have a guest, I'm excited and delighted. And this evening, I have my lovely friend, Eddie Rodriguez, joining us. Many of you know him as the happiness guy. But this evening, we're going to not only talk about his Smile and Wave project, but also his walk and something new and special that I think you'll really be interested in, de-stressology. And if you're going, what is that? It's brand new, so that's probably why you haven't heard of it yet. So without further ado, Eddie, hey, glad you can be here this evening.
Hi, Halley. It's great to be here. Hi, everybody. It's amazing to be able to be on the show and just share some of the things that we have going.
Perfect. So let's dive in a little bit and share with everybody about the Smile and Wave project, because I know a lot of people say, oh, that's that guy who smiles all the time. He's the happiness guy. He walks around and teaches everybody to be happy. You want to give us a little information as far as that goes?
Yeah, the Smile and Wave project is something that I came up with. It's actually started out as Smile and a Wave Day, and it's progressed to where it is now, the Smile and Wave project. And it's a project where we spread happiness across the world. We spread smiles, because a smile is an amazing thing, and it's a very powerful tool that you can use in your life for just almost anything. And it opens more doors than anything else. But the most important thing is it helps to open people's hearts. When you smile at somebody, you know, what happens? They smile back, and that energy gets created. And then you can take that energy, and it gets passed on from person to person to person to person. And next thing you know, it's traveled the world and come back.
It's a great concept. And for the most part, I agree with you. By the same token, you know, you say you smile at somebody and they smile back. How often have you smiled at somebody and they've taken their eyes and diverted them down, or they've rolled their eyes and shaken their head, or done something other than, such as stare at you instead of smile at you? What do you do in that situation? Because here you are, you're smiling, and as you said, not only passing along that joy, but opening up the heart and making a difference. And here somebody doesn't return it. What do you do? How does that feel?
Well, the thing is with that, you know, is that, yes, that happens. And it happens a lot, to be honest with you. But you still keep smiling. You still pass them that energy. And maybe sometimes later on, they kind of feel something, then they go, wow, you know, they did smile at me. They said something to me. They acknowledged me. And they catch it later. Or sometimes they don't catch it at all. But the thing is that you just let it pass. You do it anyway. Because
That's
it doesn't...
key.
Huh?
That's the key.
That's key. Yeah, it doesn't matter how they react to you. The thing is that you're passing them a gift. Because when you pass on the smile, you are giving a gift.
Right. Now, you know, we learned this. It's one of those basic things that you learn kind of in kindergarten. You know, what do? You smile when you greet people. You say hello. You know, it goes along with eat a cookie a day, take a nap, all of those little things. Ever read that book about all I ever needed to know? I learned in kindergarten. Great book. But the point that I'm trying to make is you would think it's intrinsic. It's basic. It's something that comes to you from the time you're a small child. And yet people tend to be resistant. So knowing that and wanting to prove your not only theory of smiling making a difference, but wanting to show the world that being happy is simpler perhaps than they think, you took a walk, and you didn't just take a ordinary walk. So you went from, if I'm not mistaken, Deerfield Beach to Washington. And I think then you went to New York
Yes.
before you came back to Florida, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So share a little bit about how the walk started, and because people are thinking, what do you mean you walk? That's crazy. Why would anybody walk from Florida to New York or Florida to Washington? Makes no sense whatsoever. So if you can, share with our listeners and our viewers.
Yeah, that's true. You know, people ask me all the time, they said, you walked? What? You did what? And they ask you 6 different times. You know, what did you do? Why did you do it? How many days did it take? How long did you walk? And how many miles a day? And all these questions. But the funny thing is the way that it got started, it was actually going to be a ride. I was going to ride to Washington, D.C. and do a video that says, Smile and Wave America, we love you. It was a very simple concept.
And-
And then my van got stolen. I walk out one night, my van is gone. Most people think, okay, I got to replace it. I got to find it. I got to do this, do that, do the other. Well, I'm a little different. What I did was I thought,
Yeah.
okay, how am I going to get to Washington now? How am I going to do this video? That's the only thing I thought. And in 15 minutes, he said, you know what? Nothing's going to stop me. I'm walking.
Now, what I think is kind of amusing about this is you walked through some, we'll say, seedy areas and some unique areas, and you've had some very interesting experiences. But I think I love the best, if you will, aspect of that walk was when you ran into the police officer whose wife said you need to bring him home. So tell everybody about this, because this is like something that doesn't happen.
Oh yeah, that was funny. Actually, I had two good instances with police officers, but this one was I was leaving. It was Wilmington, North Carolina. No. I'm sorry. Oh, what's that place where the Colonials? Gosh, I can't remember that. It's in Virginia.
Somewhere, I was going to say,
it's in
that's not
Virginia.
North Carolina, but okay.
No, it's not Carolina. It's in
the
Virginia.
colonials were moved.
And I'm sorry, it eludes me right at the moment, the name of the town. But anyway, what it was I was supposed to make a left to get to a certain road. But my intuition said, go right. Now, I always followed my intuition. I didn't question it. I just, when I got to the stop sign that I was supposed to go left,
Right.
I turned right.
Okay.
And so I was walking through the parking lot, and I see a police officer. And I said, well, I'm going to ask him, how do I get to this road going right? Because there's got to be a way. My intuition said right. So there's got to be a way. So I pull him over. I flag him down, and he pulls over. And as I walk up to him, he says, my wife wants to know what you're doing. And I said, okay, And I told him, I said, I'm walking for happiness awareness, and I'm walking to Washington, or actually at that time, well, it was Washington, D.C. at that time.
Yes.
I hadn't gotten there yet. So anyway, I told him, I said, that's what I'm doing. And he said, my wife wants to know why. And I said, well, it's happiness awareness. I'm spreading the smile. And he says, okay, you know what? My wife says we need to bring you home, feed you, and then take you wherever you need to go tomorrow. I said, cool, let's do it. So that was an amazing thing. And she actually called. I had a cart that I drug behind me. It's more like a wagon. And,
yes, you might want to
she called
share
it a
that
fanny
you got
pack.
to be the mule.
Yeah.
And he had his cart attached to him as if it were hitched to a mule or to a farm animal that needed to move. And this is how he walked. And it seemed to get heavier and heavier with each step he took. So anyways, the woman who's the police officer's wife, what did she give you?
Well, she thought that she called my cart a fanny pack.
Oh, that's an awfully big fanny pack.
Yeah, that's a big fanny pack. And I don't know, she gave me, dinner and a place to stay and
How nice.
and time with her family. She called her sister, had her sister come over. She was another cop. We had an amazing, amazing night. And then the next day I sat there with 12 cops, having breakfast. And I told them, I said, listen, if I'm walking too fast, please don't give me a ticket. I don't want a ticket for speed walking. That was an amazing time, though. It really was. I mean, and he was cool. I mean, the cop was very, very cool.
Well, he probably figured he didn't want his wife mad at him, so he was going to bring this strange guy home who keeps smiling at everybody.
Well, another funny point about that was that when he sent me over to see his wife, because his wife was the one that was going to give me a ride home,
Right.
he never checked my license or anything. He didn't check me out to see
That's
who I was.
really fascinating. I mean, really think in today's
Yeah.
world, especially a police officer, that they wouldn't say, well, let me see your license,
Right.
where you're really from, possibly investigate a little bit, do some background checking. Here, a cop just takes you home to dinner. That's kind of unique.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Tell
And-
the other story, too, about the gentleman with the gun that in the truck, because that's stuck in my craw. I was like, what? You put yourself in harm's way, and you just went with the attitude of I'm smiling, I'm making people happy, I'm sharing happiness, this is going to be okay. And again, listening to that intuition. So, if you will, go ahead and tell everybody about that gentleman. And if we go to a break, you'll have to finish afterwards.
Okay. Well, this was in North Carolina, and I'm walking through this one town, and I see this black cloud starting to form above me, and I'm like, okay, well, cool, I'm going to get wet. It's hot anyway, so it'd be nice to cool down. And then all of a sudden, there's lightning, and thunder, and I'm like, oh no, I need to find cover. So I went back to the tractor store that was right down the street. I walk into the tractor store, and I asked the owner, I said, hey, listen, I need to get to the next town, Little Washington. It's about 20 miles away, and I'm not going to walk through a thunderstorm or lightning storm. Can I ask people if it's okay if I get a ride? And she said, sure, go ahead. So this young man walks in, and I asked him, can I get a ride? And he's like, sure, cool. Let's, I have my cart. So let's put it in the back of the truck. So we put it in the back of the truck.
But the visual on that is just too funny.
Yeah. The cart, it wound up to be 181 pounds at the end. It was crazy. I mean, there was all kinds of things in there. And I think of myself more as the horse in the cart.
Right.
Being a mule, not so much.
Okay. I was just thinking workhorse, farm animal. Anyways, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, Eddie Rodriguez, the happiness guy, is going to share about the guy with the gun. Make sure you come back.
Bob, did you see Halley Elise in the paper?
Who?
The empowerment psychic, Halley Elise. They did a 2-page write-up. The columnist was enthralled. Halley went right to an issue that she was dealing with. I'm looking at HalleyElise.com right now.
What are you thinking? Should we schedule an appointment?
Matter of fact, yes. You have issues with Sue and me, my business. Take a look at her background. It's impressive, and she has decades of experience.
I want to put it on my iPad. What's her info?
Empowerment Psychic Halley Elise. HalleyElise.com. 561-755-2166.
Spell it.
HalleyElise.com.
So it's HalleyElise.com and 561-755-2166, right?
561-755-2166. That's it.
You're listening to Empowerment Psychic Halley Elise, and she invites you to visit her website for more information about all that she does at HalleyElise.com. Now, back to your host, Empowerment Psychic Halley Elise.
Hi, and welcome back. If you're just tuning in, I have Eddie Rodriguez with me this evening. He is the happiness guy. A lot of you, must know him from the Smile and Wave project. This evening, we're talking a little bit about Eddie's trip with him walking from Deerfield Beach, Florida to Washington and then to New York. But specifically, there was one story that I was sharing about needing a ride and somebody having a gun. So I'll leave it to you, Eddie, to finish the rest of the story. Now, keep in mind, Eddie is sharing happiness. He's smiling at people. Okay, take it from there.
So as I said before, he decided to give me a ride. We took the cart and we put it in the back of his truck. He, put it up. We jumped inside. He took off. He made a U-turn. And as soon as he made the U-turn, he looked at me and he said, please don't please don't do anything to make me shoot you. And I started laughing. I'm like, I'm not going to do anything to make you shoot me. So anyway, he said again, he looked at me like really serious, and he said, please don't do anything to make me shoot you. And when he said it this time, between his legs, his hand was between his legs, and he pulled up a 45. I'm like,
That's
okay. I'm like, listen, dude, I'm not going to I'm the happiness guy. I'm not going to do anything to have you shoot me. He says, but remember, I'm talking with my hands because I'm Cuban, not because I'm making moves towards you. I'm just Cuban, and that's how we do things, So if I'm waving my arms around, it's not after you.
It's amazing, though, that you kept your cool and you're sharing the happiness guy. And I want to let our viewers know if you're seeing some peculiar paperwork on the screen, as usual, something's going a little cuckoo because I'm in the station. So bear with us if you're watching.
You always do that, Halley.
Oh, my gosh, it's crazy. You should have seen what happened last time I was in, but I'm not even going to go there. Anyway, so this is what's, I think, so fascinating, and our listeners and our viewers really need to pay attention to. Your intention was to create happiness. Your intention was for everything to go well. You're sitting with some guy. He's got a gun. He could, be a crazy person and at any point just shoot you. And think about, as far as percentages, the law of percentages, you were with policemen the night before or, a couple times during the trip, and they were lovely and accommodating. And then all of a sudden, it would make sense. Some crazy person takes out a gun. And this guy saying, don't make me do this. Isn't that interesting that you're sitting there in your head going, no, he's not going to do this. He's going to smile. He's going to be happy. And inevitably he was. But that's pretty amazing. And it's pretty gutsy too, because talk about strong belief. And I think this is important for people to understand. What you believe or what you perceive is what you believe, and what you believe becomes your reality. So this is really important to take into your world. And speaking of that, based on the premise of what you've been doing with awareness for happiness and making a difference in your life, you've recently developed something called de-stressology. So please tell everybody what that is, because I'm excited. I get to be involved with it. And we have an event coming up, and we're going to help veterans, and you're a veteran.
Yes.
So this is going to be pretty amazing. So if you will, how did you even come up with the idea of de-stressology, and what is it for those listening and watching?
Well, the funny thing is that I have been doing Smile and Away for so long, but I knew there was always something more powerful, bigger than just the smile, and bigger than just spreading out happiness and joy. And I started, I've been listening to my friends, and they're all stressed out, and everybody's talking about how things are so bad nowadays, and
Except
this
for me.
and that. What's that?
Except for me.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, I just kept banging my head saying, what is it that I can come up with to really help people to de-stress? And the more I thought about it, I thought, de-stressology, the science of de-stressing. And it just hit me like a ton of bricks. And it's awakening people's creative happiness intelligence. Let me say that again.
Perfect.
Your creative happiness intelligence. That's what it does, because when you begin to de-stress, it wakens, oh God, it's like a new life. I'm sorry, I just get so excited.
It stirs that part of you that
it does.
that actually takes over. Not the part when you're angry and ready to but on the opposite end of that coin, which is when you're feeling really engaged in joy and really motivated about your world and your life and feeling good and waking up going, yes, I'm here today. Not, oh my God, it's another day.
Exactly.
Big difference. So you're putting together a university, you're putting together a project, like I mentioned briefly, as far as helping veterans. We have an event next month. So,
yes.
Okay, so first things first, let's share with everybody what the event is so that they can kind of get excited about that. And then we'll dive into what the university is. And then, poof, we'll be gone until next week, because that's how quickly things move.
Absolutely. And the event is the de-stressology event. It's the signature event. It's the first one. And what we decided, it's Veterans Day. We planned it on Veterans Day because we wanted to give back to veterans. Veterans get celebrated, and they have parties for them, and they have celebrations and all that stuff. But what I wanted to do was I wanted to give them tools that they can use for the rest of their lives to empower themselves.
Right.
Where they can take their stress and they can turn it into fuel for their life, fuel for their spirit, for their happiness, for their joy. It awakens them and makes them feel alive.
Right. And we have to look at also when somebody is not stressed out, they're more effective in their life. When they're not stressed out, they're healthier. When they're not stressed out, they are able to breathe better, sleep better. People like them better. I mean, talk
Everything
about
changes.
a tool. That's phenomenal. So we're going to do this on Veterans Day, and you will be speaking, and I will be speaking, and we have the lovely Colleen Haney who's going to be speaking, and we're covering body, and we're covering mind, and we're covering spirit.
Yes.
So we've got it all covered. Now, I mentioned as far as veterans are invited, but others will be welcomed, yes?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. We welcome everybody. There is, it's invitation only. Okay, so you'll be invited there, and there's a questionnaire.
Okay, but how do they get an invitation? Come on.
You can approach us. You can approach us and call us or email.
Okay, so let's give a website that they can go to so that they can say, hey, how do I get an invitation? So would that be the smileandwaveproject.com?
Yes,
So
absolutely. The
smileandwaveproject.com.
Yes.
And you have information on there about de-stressology,
De-stressology.
not re-stress. No, we don't want to re-stress. We want to de-stress. It's one of those days. I'm getting excited. I can't talk my tongue.
That's okay. I did the same thing just a minute ago.
That's true.
It's like I want to say everything
That's
at
it, all
once.
at once, right, exactly. But people can go to thesmileandwaveproject.com and
Yes.
get more information about de-stressology
Yes.
and how to get their invite if
Yes.
they've not already been invited. And some people will have a surprise invite in their inboxes, yes?
Absolutely, they will.
Okay, awesome. And this is next month on the 29th.
Yep.
Yes, which is Veterans Day.
Right?
Okay, and it's from 1 to 5, right?
1 to 5.
Okay.
And there'll be snacks there. There'll be prizes, door prizes, things
And
like
it's
that.
in Fort Lauderdale.
And Fort Lauderdale.
Fort Lauderdale, Cypress Creek kind of area.
Yes.
We're not giving away everything. See,
No, no,
this
no,
is
no,
really
no.
kind of
This
cool.
is invitation
because
only.
you actually have to be invited to attend. You can't just
Yes.
go, oh, maybe I'll go. Mm-mm.
No.
We actually have a questionnaire for you to fill out. We need to see, do you really need to de-stress? And
Right.
is de-stressology for you? My personal feeling is it's for everybody, but that's just my personal feeling. Okay, tell us about the university, because people are probably going, all right, well, so it's another, one of those things where you go to and you learn how to breathe. This is so much more
No.
than that. So share with everybody, please.
Yes, the university is incredible. We have a couple of teachers in place right now. We're getting some more. And it's all going to be about different ways that you can de-stress, tools, videos, just, an array of different teachings that we have for you. And it's all centered around de-stressing, compressing your life into something that's good, rather than going around thinking, oh my gosh, how things are so bad. And
Right.
it's opening up your mind and finding out the ways to be able to see the good in everything that you see.
Well,
everything that
isn't
happens.
part of it also with the teachers that you have lined up, their ability to impart wisdom about circumventing?
Yes.
If there's something showing up in your world, not just, well, I don't have to pay attention to it and I'll de-stress, but
Right.
more a matter of if this appears in your world, how do
Face it.
you deal with it? How is it that you can look at it and not just go, oh, it's all good, but be able to make a difference for yourself and those who are involved based on the techniques and the tools that you're getting from the university. Yes?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Because we want to show you how to face it, not how to go around it, not how to go under it, over it, things like that, to actually face it. So if it ever shows up again, you know exactly what to do and how to deal with it.
Okay, so that
So-
brings me to we have a short period of time. I'm going to try to squeeze in as much as I can here. Part of what your awakening was for you to focus on being happy, content, learning how to de-stress really was several tragic events.
Yes.
The loss of your daughter. I believe it was a year later, an aneurysm.
Now, 4 months later.
4 months later. Okay. I remember it was a very short period of time,
Yep.
which is crazy. And then losing part of your mental faculties and trying to get organized and business changing and relationships changing and everything all like one big snowball.
Yes.
So how did de-stressing help you? And I'm not being facetious. I'm asking because a lot of people listening in are, again, that idea of it's something, that everybody does. But this is different. I mean, you were really at a core place that could have shaken your being. And here you are sharing with others on how to help themselves and feel good and walk around and smile.
Oh,
So,
absolutely.
if you will, give a little bit of info as to how you came about uncovering these tools for yourself.
I had, like you said, 3 major things that happened at one time within a 9-month period. My company was ripped off for about $250,000. Then 5 months later, my oldest daughter passed away. 4 months after that, I had a cerebral hemorrhage, and I was supposed to die. And the thing that really kind of woke me up was when my ex-wife asked me a question, very simple question: what do you want for your birthday? And my mind didn't go to monetary things. The only thing I could think of is I wanted people to get along for one day. That was it. Just one day.
It just gave me a chill.
And so what I did was I decided to create that, and that's how the Smile and Wave Project came about. I took what happened with me, and I started finding other people that were in the same position I was, not necessarily with the events,
Right.
but how they felt. Depressed, upset, just writing 5 emotions all at one time. How do I help them? And so I ended up helping myself through others. By going out and sharing with them and uplifting them, it uplifted me. And it was incredible. And I learned so many tools that I was able to use on myself and also tools that I was able to teach other people. And so that's how this all came about, and de-stressology came about, is basically using the gifts that were given to me through tragedy, or what people call tragedy.
Right.
So when you have something tragic that happens in your life, it's really a gift. It's just that you have to recognize the gift.
Absolutely.
If you have a package and it's a really ugly package, open it, because that usually has the biggest gift.
Right. Well, it's interesting too, because so often things happen, and there's that old expression about, when one door closes, another opens, or my mom used to say something about opening a window. I don't know, something like that. But the idea being that just because there is a set of circumstances that lies before you doesn't mean that it has to dictate what happens next.
No, not at all.
You can take a look at what was the blessing involved in all of that. And even if you can't see the blessing, oftentimes you can take a look at it and say, okay, this gives me something so that I know for sure what it is I want in my life, or what it is I don't want in my life. Clarity often comes after tragedy.
Absolutely.
As well as gratefulness and forgiveness and understanding. I mean, there are those that hold on to negativity and they want to be miserable, and I've said this for years, it's a choice. And a lot of people tell me, oh, it's not a choice, you don't know, but it really is. Sometimes you have to take a baby step. But it's a choice. Do you want to take that baby step? Do you want something different in your world? And de-stressology is going to help so many people, not only with what's going on as far as in their immediacy of their world, but what is to come. Because they'll be able to create. And as you said, it opens up that creative intelligence. And we all have it. Eddie, thank you so much for being here this evening. Listen, folks, go to thesmileandwaveproject.com. You can get more information on de-stressology. And again, Eddie, thank you. So glad you could come in this evening.
Thank you, Halley. I'm so honored to be here. Thank you, everybody, for listening and watching. Have an amazing, amazing life.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
We'll see you next week.
Be enchanted and delighted. Connect each week here on WNN for the Elise Show. Also on Facebook and at HalleyElise.com. Thanks for tuning in. The opinions expressed on the preceding sponsored program were strictly those of its hosts, guests, and callers, not necessarily those of the station, its staff, management, or sponsors.